Okay, one of the 12 powers of man, that's detailed in The 12 Powers of Man, a book by, I gotta think about it for a minute. Okay, so what are the 12 powers of man? Well, you gotta find this guy. I gave you the name of the title of the book. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. Um, One of the powers of man is the ability to discern. And what are we using the power of discernment for? Well, to discern. Does this resonate? And I was just listening to a lecture from somebody, and I was listening to quite a bit of it. Then I came to a part where I didn't like it. It was, well, the world is new, is what I'm affirming right now. Because there's um, an affirmation that I need to make. The world is new. In this now moment, the world is new. So I'm breathing with this, and I'm not repeating it in my head. I'm just standing in this truth. The world is new. The world is new. And there's a lot of heavy energy that's opposing this. It's incorrect thought form that is saying that the world is fated. Everything is set in stone. There were parts in the Bible that caused great division in the Christian church. And, well, whatever all that is, I'm not giving the words, but I'm giving it's this heavy energy. Why is there this heavy energy? It's because people believed in um, untruth. People put untruth into their heart, and they claimed it was true. And they created this very heavy, dense energy. That's what it feels like, very heavy energy to me. It's a smothering blanket of energy, and it's a low vibe energy, very low consciousness energy because it's a lie. 160 it calibrates at, very low. So while I'm sitting here and, it feels, well, it's a smothering energy, I hold my peace. And I hold it and I hold it. Well, I'm not doing anything to hold it because I've already realized that frequency of peace at 600 on the scale of consciousness. How do I know? I muscle tested it. So what's happening to this energy? Um, it's still here, but it's changed in quality. Now it's partly dissolved. So just the power of me here, present, affirming the world is new. What does that say? It says the world is alive. When people say fate, they mean the world is dead and there is nothing here for you to be or nothing here for you to do. And that's simply incorrect. We are alive. Why would we have the feeling that we're dead? Because of people's strong belief in fate. Now, what's the opposite on this? Is it a polarity? Is it fate versus destiny? We got to click on that one from the universe. That's what it is. Fate is you are a cog in a vast, vast machine. We had a movie once. It was a fascinating movie that claimed that this was true. The movie is called Baraka. Is it worth seeing the movie Baraka? Baraka doesn't calibrate. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece of art, all told. So, why doesn't it calibrate? Because it's art. It's just that I associated that movie with Baraka with everything is fated. Because it shows how everything, well, if you see the movie, everything has a clockwork. I still have this heavy energy here, and my experience with these energies that come through is, they can stick around for a long time. Do they dissolve? Yes. In my experience over many years of holding space, it's called holding space when you reach a higher level of consciousness than the general population, or if you're in a group of people, if you had a group of, I don't know, 30 people, you holding space is you um, not lowering your vibration to meet others. What does that mean in plain English? If there's a bunch of people who are lying about things and you know the truth about things, uh, to lower your frequency to them would to start to agree with their lies. That's lowering your vibration. It makes no sense whatsoever to ever lower your vibration. to agree with others that falsehood is truth. So fated means that all everything you think is without your ability to influence it. That's just the way it is. That is a So it's going to take me quite some time, well, all day long as a light worker. It's going to take quite some time to dissolve this energy. But this particular energy, it's still here. It's changing in nature. Is it getting better? No, it's still a nasty energy, but it feels differently. What does that mean? It just means the energy is still too low vibe to be healthy for humans. So what happens? Me is what happens. And you is what happens when you raise your consciousness. Yeah, it may feel quite sticky, icky, sometimes absolutely horrific. But your job is to maintain a consciousness calibration at 540 or higher on the scale of human consciousness. No matter what, no matter what, you must maintain your consciousness. You must maintain it. If you don't maintain your consciousness, then you have surrendered to death. All of this low vibe stuff, it is death. It is not health. If it's not health, it is disease. Disease is death. So that's what we do. Similarly, spiritual teacher Eckhart Tolle, in his book The Power of Now, tells us about pain body. Pain body is this low consciousness energy. This energy is it's a well, it's just shitty. It's shitty energy. So Tolle told us you just hold consciousness. The awareness itself is what dissolves shitty energy. How long? Well, it takes as long as it is. Um, the more people on the planet who are holding high frequency, high consciousness on the scale of human consciousness, the more faster this sickening energy on the planet dissolves. So it behooves all of us to raise our consciousnesses. The more of us are up, because all of us are influenced by this sickening energy. This energy makes all of us sick, the whole collective. It's sickening, sickening. It's death energy. It's just that's what it is. It's horrid, horrid, heavy energy. Where is it coming from? Well, what we're told by many spiritual teachers is this is old, old energy from our ancestors. Well, generations and back in linear time. Just keep going back to the beginning of man in linear time. And well, we know from consciousness researcher Dr. David R. Hawkins that at the time of Jesus, 2,000 years ago, the collective consciousness of humans was at 90. In the year 2000, Dr. Hawkins found that the consciousness calibration of the collective, all of humanity, was 203. We had an enormous shift out of negativity in 1987 at the time of the harmonic, is it concordance? It was a harmonic concordance, I'm pretty sure. There was also a harmonic convergence, whatever that was, harmonic convergence, harmonic concordance that happened in 1987, that signaled the enormous change out of negativity for the whole collective. But we just got over to 203, which is still very low. Remember, Jesus was at 1,000. But, over the course of 2,000 years, little by little, man climbed on the scale of consciousness. So, if the collective at the time of Jesus was 90, well, how on earth, what pulled them up to 203 over those 2,000 of years? I have to take a moment to see what words we get here. And this is what we do. When we have a question, we wait. We wait. When is the answer going to come? Well, sometimes the question gives you the answer right away. You just get a snap and it's like, well, I get it. Right now, I'm not getting an answer. So the answer, it's an open question. It's an open question for me and perhaps for you. What do we expect? We always get an answer? Sometimes, yes, we get a really good, intelligent answer. Sometimes what happens is the question falls apart under intense presence. The question itself goes away. It's as if the question itself is exposed as a ridiculous question because, well, I don't know, I'm not at that point yet. But these are some of the things that can happen through the light of consciousness. So, earlier we talked about fate versus destiny. Fate tells you that you have no influence on our collective reality. There's nothing you can do. That is a disempowering belief. And when people hold that disempowering belief, it makes them stuck. Forever stuck in, well, I don't know. The opposite is destiny. What is your destiny? Destiny. What is the destiny of Um, us. And now I'm going to have to sit with this one because the energy is still very heavy. It's very heavy in my body. There's a lot of this energy. It feels like about here. It's a solar plexus. It's kind of in here. It's solar plexus energies. What does that mean? That's not good enough energy. That's animalistic energy. When you feel a lot of energy down here, that's not good energy. The energy that it needs to be transmuted here, so all the heaviness goes once this energy gets processed in this body. And again, it comes. There's so much of this heavy energy because we're releasing it as part of the ascension of the collective into higher consciousness, which will outpicture as what we call the fifth dimension. That's the whole promise of that song, The Age of Aquarius, by the band, The Fifth Dimension. Harmony and understanding. So letting go of animosity, letting go of grudges, letting go of hatred. These things are not native to us. This is all low consciousness. But this is where the collective came from in previous generations. And, we're the next generation, we're the generation here. And so many of us have chosen consciously to raise our consciousness. We drag the whole collective with us. So, even those people who aren't on spiritual paths, because so many of us are, we're pulling. If everybody's here, and then those little dots of all the people that have gone way ahead of the collective, they're pulling the collective up. Because there's more and more buoyancy in the whole collective because of the light workers, the star seeds. And it drags the whole collective up. And then those people that used to be at lower levels of consciousness, as they come up, they start finding that they themselves, even though they're not on a spiritual path, the spirit is coming and kicking them in the ass. If they're in a chair like me, it might come and kick the chair out from under them. It stirs the pot. It stirs up your life. It forces change upon people because people who were stuck at whatever level that was, all of a sudden the world has shifted because of the other people around in the collective. And what used to work don't work anymore. People's comfortable lives that they set up so that they could, sit on their ass every day and drink, fancy margaritas or something every day for everyone. Those lives are shook up loose. And the universe says, well, that's not why you're here. You're not here to be, a drunk every day sitting, in Beverly Hills. That's not the point of being a human. The point of being human is to grow. And one way or another, you consciously choose to get ahead of the curve and say, I'm actively going to go and grow my consciousness, or you're going to sit on your ass. And then the consciousness of the collective will give you a huge shove and say, fuck off. That's what it says to you. What do you mean? Well, because you're low in consciousness. You're pickled alcoholic calibrating at, I don't know, let's go 60. You're basically, I don't know, unintelligent reptile. Well, that's why they call them reptiles. I don't know. That's what you're called. You're so that there's no choice. And then you might get a horrible thing happen to you because you haven't moved for so long. In essence, it's like in California, if you get two, what do they call those things? Seismic plates. Two of those plates, like a plate of Juan de Fuca off the coast of British Columbia, rubbing up against what's that other? There's like the Pacific. Those are different plates of land out there, and if the two plates lock. But there's still a lot of movement along the fault, then sooner or later it can't hold anymore. It slides, and we call that an earthquake. So, when people lock themselves into their routines, thinking, oh, this is just wonderful, I just got it made, it's like, well, I'm sorry, that's not what you're supposed to be doing, and the universe is going to give you an incredible earthquake. And unfortunately, the earthquake can be deadly. Because it could be you or somebody significant in your life who, you've set up this Groundhog Day kind of thing, and you might not even think it's Groundhog Day, but the universe has different ideas about it, and saying, well, regardless of what you think, the universe spoke, and if somebody was kicked the bucket, then all of a sudden you're free of whatever that karmic interaction is with that person that's keeping you chained. So you will be freed, and the person who died has been freed as well from that life, and they're off to whatever happens after they drop the body. But they went on, life goes on, you as a soul continues on. So there's no need to worry about the person who kicked off, because they're still alive. They're just now in a different place, in a different time space, and it's out of your control. The universe said, well, you're free now, and all that shit that was like whatever it was, that's gone, baby. It's a new day, and that is why I say the world is new today. We don't cry for spilt milk, because what's the point? There's nothing I can do about it. That person's gone, and here I am. So, well, turn around and let's start walking. That's what you do. That you don't stand there and say, wait for 200 years for, well, that person didn't, remanifest. No, it's time for you to move along. I mean, there's more spiritual gifts on your path. And that was the removal of that person from your life, and you from that person's life. Treat it like a spiritual gift. It was like, well, the universe said we're still. I didn't think it was so bad, but the universe said, well, okay, fine, fine. I'll agree with the universe, because the is, and that's what is. So no use me saying that's not, that's wrong or whatever, and boo-hoo-hoo, and God, why don't you bring him back? And it's horrible. It's like, well, this realm, everybody dies, don't they? Well, that's what we're told. Is it true? Isn't it true? All you were looking at me, what do you mean, Bob? What are you getting at, Bob? Well, truth be told, if you believe the funeral industry, it's true. Everyone dies. But if you believe the spiritual masters, then you got a huge conflict. A huge conflict between what is called common sense. Everyone, everyone dies. Jim Morrison, the famous singer of the band The Doors, his autobiography was called "No One Gets Out of Here Alive." But what happened to Jim Morrison? Well, we all know. The movie Eddie and the Cruisers and Eddie Lives was based upon Jim Morrison. It is. I mean, you go look at that movie. It's about Jim Morrison faking his death. Well, you say, oh, I've been to funerals, Bob. I've seen dead bodies. I've seen dead bodies, too. I worked at an old folks home. I mean, old folks home, people die. What does it mean? Well, we live in a collective consciousness of humanity that is exceptionally low. I don't know what's at right now. 212, the collective. So since the year 2000, we moved from 203 to 212. What's 212? What's the boiling point of water? So what's going on? Well, there's a great boiling point right here going on right now. It's a change of state. In your pot of water boiling for your potatoes on the stovetop, that water goes from a liquid state to a gas state and expands in volume enormously when liquid water becomes steam. Well, that's what's going on right now. Humans are changing from what we used to call the third dimension to the fifth dimension. It's a change of state of consciousness. It absolutely is. Absolutely is. So everybody's ideas of, well, this is never going to work because, we had about 1,200 times the old Bible thumpers in the Deep South say we're going to have the rapture. And you can go on Wikipedia and look up the rapture because that's what people are thinking. Well, the rapture was the idea that there's an external God. Let's call it the God of the Simpsons. And that external God sits up there in judgment and decides whether you're going to heaven or hell whenever they decide. And then people believe that. It's misinformation, and it causes all kinds of people to shut down with the idea that, there's a God out there punishing me. Well, it's commonly held misbeliefs. Why? Well, it's just part of the collective. And, where do people learn their beliefs about the nature of reality? Not from the other people around them. you know. And if the people are low vibe, then you take on their way of looking at things. And the whole low vibe, of everything out pictures as a world where people get sick and die. Well, it's just that you've never seen a fifth dimensional society. You've never seen planet Earth where the collective consciousness of humanity is at, for example, 600. We don't have it. In my lifetime, we've never been at 600 as a collective. So you've never seen it either. So what are we going on? We're going on our spiritual truth. And we're watching. Through muscle testing, David Hawkins said, we went from 90 on the scale of human consciousness at the time of Jesus 2,000 years ago to 203 in 1987. And I just gave you, what did I give you, 2000? Whatever that number was. Sorry, I'm still having a lot of trouble with this energy. And, demonic entities. What are demonic entities? They come along with these low energies. Why? Well, because they're swept up by these energies. These negative energies catch them up. And why does it catch them up? Well, I don't know why. It's refusal to raise your own vibration. That's what it is. It's a refusal. It's people who are stuck in being what I call fuck-faced, low in consciousness. And what happens with that? Well, they act out of that field of consciousness, a negative consciousness. Yeah. So what happens? Well, it's hell. It's hell. It's absolutely hell. Satanic energies at like 140. Well, what are they? Murderous, horrific, terrorist-inducing energies. Yes. Well, what have we got on planet Earth? We've got insane terrorists running the damn planet, don't we? We certainly do. Certainly do. Anybody that wants to deny the corruption that goes on, then you're just fucked, aren't you? I mean, the truth is the truth. The truth is the truth. This world is governed by evil. And we all know it. This is 1% thing. And it's a part of our leap in consciousness is for all to come and look and stare at it right in the face. The New World Order. It's, the way the evil emperor runs this planet. Control, 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 control you. Tell you, like, everything. You see Justin Trudeau, that fuckface Prime Minister of Canada, going to war against the Canadians who are enjoying their lives on their own dime in the Caribbean, and saying to Trudeau, you stupid wet behind the ear, elitist fuckface motherfucker, we don't want to be ruled by you, you disgusting fucking devil. So they were out having a good revel, and they showed it on national TV, and then the USA picked up on it. What is it? It's Benito Mussolini, El Duce, the fascist leader of Italy in the early 1940s, ally of Nazi Germany and Adolf Hitler. What did he do? Well, he was the dictator, wasn't he? He was the dictator. Who today is the dictator a la Benito Mussolini? It's Justin Fucktard Trudeau. What needs to happen to Justin Fucktard Trudeau? The same thing that happened to Benito Mussolini. He was hung by the neck until he was dead. And then he was left hanging there for the people. He was left there to rot. this is what I expect you're going to see with world leaders who are at levels of consciousness where they are outpicturing as evil, as the tyrant. A world with so many light workers, with so many people who are in the process of awakening, because it's spiritual awakening. That's what the two narratives are. The one narrative is the Great Reset by the New World Order, which is more and more and more and more control and turning you more and more into slaves. That's the narrative, the mainstream news, endless. It's the propaganda. Propaganda, propaganda. Just like Joseph Goebbels, a Nazi propaganda minister, masterfully telling, Adolf Hitler, the way that we do this is we keep telling the big lie. What's the big lie? Well, the Third Reich shall last 1,000 years and it will conquer the world. The big lie, the big lie, the big lie that, Nazism and big statism, tyranny is the way of the future. It's the way of man. And it's still fighting us. It's still fighting us. So, it's anti-freedom. It's anti-Christ. And this New World Order of Justin Trudeau is anti-Christ. What is Christ? Christ is I don't know as many collections of information. Let's just call it more than one of us are at the levels of consciousness where we agree. People who are dictatorial are negative entities. And we stand in our truth that we are God. That's an affirmation. If you got a problem with that, then you are ignorant, aren't you? Well, I mean, seriously, I'm not going to give you a whole lecture on we are God here, am I? I'm just going to affirm it. If you don't know anything about that, well, you need to go get maybe a book by Louise Hay. You Can Heal Your Life. Because it's all about affirmations to get rid of wrong, tightly held lies that are held as truths in people's hearts and minds. Well, that's what we're up against right now, and what is it? It just feels sickly, and it outpictures as all this fucking horror. But that's the process of awakening. It's just intense pressure, where you're just every day is like you wake up, you feel good, and then you open your eyes, and then you think, oh fuck, I gotta go and buy more of this, and I gotta get 12 more of these, and then I've got to buy 500 more PCR tests, and and then I gotta, well, do you like that narrative? Does it serve you? It doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve me as a God man. I put my faith in my own innate me. What I am gifted with, the God self within my heart. And what do I choose to put in my heart to program my God self? Well, what the Ascended Masters tell us. I am the resurrection and the life. Who said that? Jesus Christ. Well, he's the master at 1,000. And when I started off on this journey in this lifetime, I don't know, let's go with 185. Because this guy Lloyd, I think it's incorrect. I don't think I was that low as a child. But let's go with Lloyd. Lloyd was wrong, but let's go with Lloyd anyway. Because I don't want to tell people that they're wrong. Even though, because it's wrong, but because he got muscle testing wrong. I don't know why. He doesn't have enough consciousness, but, let's go with Lloyd's number. Let's say I was born, because in the previous life to this one, I was at 185 on the scale of human consciousness. You come in here and you're 185. That's the way it works. Whatever you leave your last life with is what you come into your next life with. Well, this is a purgatorial realm. It's a probationary planet. Planet Earth, the planet that I was born into. And it took quite a number of decades before I learned about the scale of consciousness. I didn't learn about the scale of human consciousness till, I don't know, let's go with 35. because it wasn't the internet wasn't available, and we just didn't have spiritual teachers that before all that. I don't know, we just didn't have it. But as the outgrowth of connectedness, that information came to me, the David R. Hawkins books, and you read it, and then you start, well, you really question everything, because you've got something that is an explanation. And it's like, it's the handbook of life that you didn't get when you were first learning to read when you were 7 years old. You didn't get that handbook, Transcending the Levels of Consciousness. That textbook, you need that textbook. David R. Hawkins, because it tells you. You're at 185, you're technically a devil. You are. You're a negative entity when you're at 185 on the scale of human consciousness. What he just said, well, that's, don't you want it? Well, you have to read the book. Why? Because I got a lot of demonic energy that's trying to shut me down right now. Why? Because demonic energy hates God. Well, it's just stupid, because I don't know. I am God, so why is this demonic energy out there telling me that I'm not and wanted to kill me? This is old energy. This is old energy possibly stored in the earth itself. There's a lot of generations where people died, and the energy that they died with, it just died there. And it's still from physics that energy can't be created or destroyed, but it can be transmuted. Well, somebody died there, and that energy died there too, and it was stuck to the energy of the earth. And as the earth herself, we ground all this high vibrational consciousness that we, somebody said, do you invoke it? It's actually the opposite. It's a good question. Do you invoke higher consciousness like you're casting a spell where you're bringing in a higher consciousness being? No. You actually are innately a higher consciousness being. Innately, you are. Your soul. It's just what we would call the human animalistic ego that is the low vibe thing. And if that is what is running you, your ego, then you're low vibe. So does your ego serve you? No. It's, holds a lot of disease because of its diseased way of thinking about things. Thinking about the world as a material place rather than this is a spiritual place. Mary Baker Eddy would tell you. Mary Baker Eddy was the founder of the Christian Science churches. Her famous textbook is Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures. Do you need that book? Yeah. You need a library of spiritual resources. You absolutely need to invest in yourself. Somebody will spend, I don't know, $25,000 for a ticket to the Super Bowl, but, you won't spend $5 at a used bookstore to get a copy of Science and Health. You need that book, and you'll be surprised it's $18.95. That's perennial wisdom. This wisdom goes way back. So, yeah, it's a good book. It's really good. It's super good. It really is. I might keep going. It's just really good. So there you go. Do you need that book, The 12 Powers of Man? You betcha. Go get that. Charles Fillmore, The 12 Powers of Man. Get those books. And once you get them, crack those books. Maybe if you don't much of a reader, then try and get through a chapter. Try and do a chapter, do a chapter in the morning, do a chapter at noon, do a chapter at coffee break, and then finish it after supper. And then seriously, you could get through one of those books in a week. If you're going to tell me, well, I'll try and get through that one book this year, then you're not motivated, are you? You're not, and you're a fuckface, and you're a low vibe person, and the universe is going to kick the chair out from underneath you, and you're going to have a big fall, Humpty Dumpty. You are. That's what Humpty Dumpty is all about. Humpty Dumpty's sitting in pride. That's what pride is, 190. It's like, the fuck, I'm getting off this thing. I'm going to sit here until the universe moves me. Well, that's dumb. And, that was the end of Humpty Dumpty. So don't be Humpty Dumpty. Get ahead of the curve and say, yes, I'm willing to raise my consciousness, and I'm going to actively make it my number one priority right now, today. In between everything else I'm going to do, I'm going to have that book. I'm going to put that book, in my pack sack or in my purse. I'm going to put it on the dashboard of my car. I'm going to have a copy of it, get multiple copies of these books. Well, you got lots of books. Don't keep them locked away in a cupboard in the basement. You know, everybody takes a crap every day. Well, have a copy of some spiritual stuff there. Don't tell me the people don't do the bathroom reader thing. I mean, seriously, have it there. So, you're sitting there, you have to sit there anyway. Well, if you're there, well, get reading. And maybe what you do is you just pick up one of those books and just crack it open a page at random. Do that. That's part of the universe's way of helping you out. So what you do, just crack one of those books, just a random page, and then just point your finger and see where your finger goes on the page. Just do that. Your finger will give you something. Then look at it. That's something for you to ponder for the rest of the day when you're not actively reading. You could just put a bookmark there, because it's a piece of wisdom for you. It's truth, and that truth goes into your mind, and it renews your mind. You get truth into your mind. New truth, higher consciousness truth. It'll kick out all the garbage that doesn't resonate. That's what goes on in people when you raise your consciousness. Everything that doesn't resonate with the higher consciousness that you've chosen. I'm the resurrection and the life. Anything that doesn't resonate with that, doesn't resonate with Jesus Christ, comes to the surface to be released. And it can be, horrible energies when you walk by. If you're carrying a high consciousness field of 600 peace, and you walk by and some piece of stuck energy from, 300 years ago is it within your field, your strong field around you, your aura, that will come loose. And then what? Well, you're going to feel it because it needs to be processed and transmuted. Who's going to do it? Your energy field is going to do it. In essence, and often it feels like it's in your body. So, yeah, it's no fun. It's an unpleasant thing to deal with these ancient energies. But that's our mission to Earth. Because we're planning on having, Earth. We're going to be, a higher dimensional Earth. Yoda had the option of dying, didn't he? I think it was even excessive to show Yoda aging at all, because in higher dimensional worlds, it's your choice what you want to appear as. Do you want to appear as an old man? Or, a 7-year-old child? You're calling me crazy? I'm sorry. That's the story of the spiritual master, Babaji. You can look up Babaji on the internet. I mean, we don't see spiritual masters on TV when you see Lester the Molester Holt on NBC News at 6:30. That's a son of a bitch. He's a negative entity. He's a devil. And you can tell. Don't take my word for it. You can learn muscle testing for truth and test the statement. Lester Holt calibrates over 200 on the scale of human consciousness and see what you get. I got that he's under 200. The minimum standard on planet Earth, agreed to now by us and our allies, the Galactics, is minimum 540 unconditional love for every human on the planet. Otherwise, you're here illegally. Because planet Earth herself called out for starseeds to come here to raise the collective consciousness. You didn't know about that? Well, on YouTube, you look up Dolores Cannon, 3 waves of volunteers. That's the story. It's right there. All of us know about it. How come you don't know about it? I don't know. Stuck in your whiskey bottle. Times are a-changing, folks. The times they are a-changing.